Pennsylvania 65000 with Glenn Miller on the music, and here comes the B-25 missile bomber. All we need now, Dick Schilling, is a B-51, and the music would be complete.
Now you're really talking. Any pilot, that's a warm spot in their heart when you say P-51.
Whew. So grab that Coca-Cola, come on down. Say hello to Kelly Conboy and Drew Kerr and Chuck Bird. They're the folks of the local Coca-Cola distributors. Coca-Cola, a major sponsor. And boy, those Coca-Colas do taste good on a beautiful day like today. So the B-25 is turning on to the downwind leg, that portion of the airport traffic pattern that's parallel to the landing runway, but in the opposite direction. Downwind, we call that, because that's usually the direction of the wind. I guess that's a pilot's dream, probably, isn't it, Dick Schilling, to someday actually land into the wind. Haven't done it yet in those 26 years of flying that I've been doing. Always a little bit from this side or that side. At least I blame my bad landings on that.
It's always crossed.
It's always a crosswind.
While we're waiting for the B-25 to set up on final here, and we're waiting for the Warbird, the F-14 to taxi out here, I think it's appropriate to mention again the tremendous organization it takes to put on an air show like this, from Bay City Promotions, Dennis Cohen and Mark Graham, and their army of volunteers under Karen Cohen, to Bob Sheffens and his wife Beverly, who run the portable tower here, to Larry Rutt, who takes time off from his busy schedule flying his 747 around the world to come here and do our air show announcing for us, to simple things like starting all these military aircraft. These do not have starters on them like your car does, so it takes special equipment, a big air bottle, if you might think of it. We call it a hopper, that it took to start that F-14 over there, and we have a big generator also. These were brought in by the 757th in Youngstown, Ohio, the reserve group over there, and they put them on a pickup or a big lowboy truck and drove them over here Thursday night, and they're staying here all weekend so we can start these military aircraft tomorrow night and Sunday morning to get them out of here. So again, a big amount of effort from a lot of fantastic professional people to put this air show on for you great people of Erie.
I applaud that exactly, folks, and I think they all deserve a round of applause. All those folks that Dick Schilling mentioned, without those hundreds of people and the fine organization efforts of Karen Cohen in pulling together all these volunteer efforts to produce this, we wouldn't be having this air show. So between the volunteers and the sponsors, thank you all very much. Let's give them all a round of applause. They deserve it. They work hard. They worked hard last year and worked hard this year to bring this air show. And a big thank you to all those folks, such as the Air Force Reserve and the Civil Air Patrol is here performing some of our security jobs. There's so many people. I hope you will get one of those souvenir programs, folks, and take a look at the inside right-hand cover of the souvenir program. There must be 450 names on there of all of those people who have contributed to supporting this air show and working so hard to produce this air show. They do a terrific job. They all deserve that round of applause, and they all deserve our appreciation and our support. They do a terrific job.
And Larry, that was always a welcome sight of you and the ground crew waiting back there through endless hours at home to see that B-25 landing again home safely.
As we've seen in the movies, they stand there and they count the airplanes as they come back. They count the tail numbers, as you see 9 Delta on the side of the tail of briefing time as they come back. The ground crews looking at each other, shaking hands and saying, they made it back again.
And unless you've lived through that world, you never realize how close you become to fellow airmen when your life depends on how well you perform, and you live within feet of each other. You eat, sleep, drink 24 hours a day, literally within feet of each other, and the anxieties when you're wondering if those guys are coming back.
Talk about trust. It sure does build up the team ethic, doesn't it? Part of the team. And here's a 2-man team that's taxiing out in this F-14 Tomcat. The pilot and the radar intercept officer, the RIO, in the backseat of the F-14 Tomcat. Take a good close look as they taxi by. Take a good close look at that inlet. I hope you got a chance to see the inlets on this aircraft as it was sitting on static display, because this aircraft is capable of speed over twice the speed of sound. So when you start cramming supersonic air into a jet engine, it can't quite deal with all that. So we change the amount of air that can come into that inlet and actually slow it down to subsonic speeds as they come by so that those big jet engines can process all that speed. all the speed of all that air as it comes on through. The F-14B Tomcat. Ladies and gentlemen, the United States Navy and the Grim Reapers of Fighter Squadron 101 proudly present the Grumman F-14B Super Tomcat. From air superiority and fleet air defense to tactical reconnaissance and conventional ground attack, the F-14B is not only the most versatile, but also the largest of any U.S. Navy fighter. Powered by two General Electric F-110 afterburning turbofans, providing 57,000 pounds of thrust, the Super Tomcat possesses the necessary qualities to effectively employ its powerful and potent weapon system with speed, maneuverability, and flexibility to fulfill its objective as a multi-mission fighter. Ladies and gentlemen, as the F-14B Super Tomcat is taxiing out, I'd like to call for a round of applause, if you will, for the aircraft of the Mid-Atlantic Air Museum. Beautifully restored, beautifully flown, and demonstrated for us here today at the Erie Airshow, the folks of the Mid-Atlantic Air Museum.
Well, the Tomcat is taxiing out. Any of you people that want to go for an aircraft ride, we're going to be giving airplane rides again immediately following the touchdown of the Tomcat here over at the end of the runway there where the show rider parked. So if you want to get in line, get your tickets, and you can watch the Tomcat from there. We'll immediately start giving rides as soon as the end of the show here.
Although the aircrew in the F-14 cannot provide a firepower demonstration, what you will see today in impressive style is a series of coordinated maneuvers illustrating the Tomcat's ability to operate from the crowded deck of an aircraft carrier to ear-shattering flight profiles, vividly portraying its maneuverability, acceleration, and speed while taking advantage of its variable wing sweep system. The wings right now, you'll see, are in the full forward position. That'll change during the show. The aircraft you see today is not a special demonstration aircraft. It's one of 33 operational fighters flown daily by the instructors and students of VF 101. The Tomcat is manned by a crew of two, the pilot and the radar intercept officer, or RIO. The pilot flies the plane, the RIO manages the weapon system, navigation, communications, and electronic warfare equipment. The demonstration pilot is Lieutenant Devin Boots Jones of San Diego, California. And with him is, from Butler, Pennsylvania, Lieutenant Tom Smut-Hive, the Grim Reapers of VF 101, led by Commander Chris Wietrich, and the F-14B Super Tomcat. Over 57,000 pounds of thrust, pushing 60,000 pounds of airplane into the sky over Erie. The F-14B Tomcat, only 62 feet long. It's only 2 feet shorter than the DC-3. It has a wingspan of 64 feet with the wings full forward as they were in the takeoff position. Maximum takeoff weight is about 35 tons. Directly before you, at 200 feet and 350 miles an hour, in just a moment, Lieutenant Jones and Lieutenant Hive will demonstrate the low-speed maneuverability of the Tomcat by executing a 1/2 cubic 8. The F-14B Super Tomcat from the Grim Reapers of VF 101, based down at Oceana Naval Air Station in Virginia. Up here to put on this demonstration, the East Coast demonstration team of your United States Navy. Look directly across the runway at Show Center. You're going to see the F-14B Super Tomcat as he pulls back on the stick. Full afterburner on both of these GE F-101 engines.
The engines have so much power, that's the only way you can stop it from climbing, is to roll it onto its back, and that downward offloads the weight of the wings. He rolls it back over and continues to fly again. Without that maneuver, he would continue going right on past the capabilities of the aircraft.
This time, the Tomcat will approach from the right at 350 miles per hour for a plan view pass. Lieutenant Jones will roll the F-14 into an 80-degree angle of bank and manually select full aft wing sweep. The degree of sweep of the variable geometry wing is normally controlled by a computer called a mock sweep programmer. The wings, fully forward, are at 20 degrees of sweep, and at full aft, 68 degrees from the right. The Tomcat knife edge wing sweep pass. As his speed builds up right now to the right, his speed will build up to about 350 miles an hour. You saw it before with the wings fully forward. He's going to roll it into knife edge and give you a good plan-form view of the airplane. Here he is at knife edge. You saw the wings actually being moved aft into the high-speed position, and of course the afterburners came on because as he sweeps it, the aircraft loses lift. So he pulls it back into the high-speed position. From the left, the Tomcat returns at 450 miles per hour to execute a 360-degree level turn with the wings at full sweep in the aft position. In the high-speed configuration, the Tomcat takes on the shape of a delta, and the large flat central surface between the engines serves as an airfoil or lifting body, helping the wings to create the lift needed to sustain the turn. During the turn, the crew is going to experience their weight has increased to 67 times the force of gravity. Sound of freedom in 1993, the GE F-110 engines. Think about the weight of that aircraft. That's 60,000 pounds, but in that 6G turn, that's 360,000 pounds of airplane being supported by those tiny little wings on the F-14. The next pass is again going to demonstrate the variable sweep wing of the F-14 with another knife edge pass. Approaching from the right, Boots and Smut will have configured the Tomcat for a simulated approach to an aircraft carrier. They're going to be slowing the aircraft down to approximately 130. No, not this pass. They're coming by at much more than 130. Here's another. You got a chance in that high-speed pass to see the high-speed or swept wing configuration. We'll expect to see the velocity of the aircraft begin to slow as they get down into the landing configuration. Call signs we're using with these folks, as we mentioned before. Lieutenant Devin Boots Jones, the pilot from San Diego, California. His RIO is from Butler, Pennsylvania. Lieutenant Tom Smutheim. Smut is his call sign. We see the wings are forward now, so they will be slowing the aircraft down to come by. If they put the aircraft into the landing configuration, I believe they will, you'll get a good chance to view the aircraft. The Tomcat will be in a simulated approach to an aircraft carrier. The airspeed will be approximately 130 miles per hour. The slow speed handling characteristics of the Tomcat are truly exceptional. The huge surface area of its two independently operating horizontal ailerons have two vertical tails, combined with the tremendous thrust produced by these two GE engines, is especially effective in maneuvering the aircraft at slow speeds, as in the approach to an aircraft carrier. In the slow speed regime, in a high angle of attack with all the lifting devices out and the ailerons flapping back and forth, the Tomcat shows us where its other nickname comes from. Crews who fly it and fix it call it the Turkey. Maybe we'll get a chance to see why as they come down. Notice that the tail hook has also been lowered. It's the tail hook which separates Navy and Marine Corps tactical aircraft from the rest of the world's tactical aircraft, permitting them to land aboard a carrier and stop in only 300 feet. At the center point, Lieutenant Jones took a simulated wave-off from the landing safety officer on board, selecting full Zone 5 afterburners and accelerating away from the deck. Ensuring that all landing gear are up and locked, Lieutenant Jones and Lieutenant Heim now return from your left at 300 miles per hour to execute a 360-degree minimum radius turn. Even with the enormous size of this plane, the turning radius is only 1/4 of a mile. That's only 1,320 feet, my friends. Out of the turn, the Tomcat will enter a climb to nearly 2 miles overhead. On center stage right now, the F-14B Super Tomcat of the Grim Reapers of VF 101. Time to rock and roll. That was no optical illusion, my friends. It was putting out more thrust than the aircraft currently weighs. It was accelerating as it climbed vertically. It's that ability to outturn and outgun your opponent that can determine the victor in air combat. Smut has just informed us that Boots has said he feels a need for speed. Accordingly, the F-14 is accelerating to a speed which will approach the speed of sound. The Tomcat will be traveling at a speed of 650 miles per hour, or 960 feet per second. At center point, Lieutenant Jones will initiate a vertical climb, topping out 2.5 miles above the runway. This is the Tomcat Warp 9 pass and vertical departure, coming up at a high rate of noise. And you thought you knew the definition of awesome. In a descending turn from the left, the Tomcat is approaching for the pop-up brake to landing. This maneuver is utilized to slow the aircraft from 500 miles per hour to a more comfortable 125 and set the landing configuration. Diving down into show center from left to right, the F-14B Super Tomcat of the Grim Reapers of VF 101. Approaching the deck of the carrier at this time. High-speed brake. A lot of folks will ask us, what's all that white stuff that you see on top of the wings when he comes by at very high speed and rolls into a bank or pulls back on the stick? As he does that and loads that wing, the airflow across the top of the wing actually increases in speed over the 500 miles an hour that he's traveling at the moment. That sudden increase in speed actually vaporizes very instantaneously any humidity that might be in the air as that airflow comes up over that wing. And the airflow is accelerated up over the top of the wing when he puts high G loading on the wings. So what you see is just a little bit of moisture that's in the air vaporizing very, very quickly as he loads the wings in those high-speed, high-G turns coming by in the F-14 Tomcat. With the landing configuration set, the Tomcat approaches at 125 miles per hour. Listen closely to the precise power changes required in this simulated approach to an aircraft carrier. The deck has 4 wires, spaced every 45 feet, in any one of which the tailhook may engage. Immediately upon touchdown, the pilot adds full military power, and it's arresting gear, not wheel brakes, that stops the airplane. In the unlikely event of a bolter or a miss, if the hook should skip and miss all 4 wires, the crew adds full power, as you saw before, and takes off, or goes around for another try. Let's see how they do on catching the 4 wires across the deck. There's the touchdown, simulating a bolter, full power is coming on. If you take notice, you'll see that in that simulated miss, full power came on, and he kept the airplane in the very high drag, dirty configuration, keeping the landing gear and the wing flaps extended as he continued to apply full afterburner and climb out for another pass toward the aircraft carrier. Demonstrating tremendous, awesome power of the F-14 Super Tomcat. Okay, we see the wings are folded back in a high-speed configuration. In case you missed that high-speed pass before, get your cameras ready and set them on high speed, because approaching from the right is the F-14B Super Tomcat. Slowing the aircraft down, Lieutenant Jones will set up for his landing at this time. Upon touchdown, you'll notice that he will attempt to raise the nose very, very slightly after touchdown, putting some aerodynamic drag on the wings and helping to slow the airplane down using the bottom of the aircraft as drag. You see the wings are extended. The wing flaps will be extended down the trailing edge of the wings. And as he taxis by, continuing his rollout, if you look between the twin tails of the F-14, you'll see yet another panel raised, and that'll be the speed brakes. Back in the aft center body between the twin tails of the F-14. All helping to add drag and slow the airplane down as he applies brakes and stops the airplane in a very, very short distance, considering that this is an aircraft of 60,000 pounds and capable of speeds well over twice the speed of sound. Hard to imagine the tremendous maneuverability of an aircraft this size. In its fleet air defense role, the F-14 is capable of, its radar fire control system is capable of locating enemy aircraft at hundreds of miles and launching its defensive missiles in defense of the fleet. It's performed very, very well in Desert Storm, in deep strike missions. There you see the nose coming up as he loads up the wings to help slow the airplane down. The huge ailerons, as we talked about before, adding quite a bit of drag as that goes to full deflection in just a moment. You can see spoilers raised on the upper surface of the wing, and there's the speed brake extended between the twin tails. A couple of Libyan pilots out there that took off one day and landed in the water by parachute because they made the unfortunate mistake of going out to pick on the F-14. Fleet air defense, the primary role of the F-14. The F-14 now being studied for upgrade and use in many, many other roles, including air-to-air, including the air-to-ground mission that the U.S. Navy is considering, because this proven aircraft is going to be a frontline aircraft for decades to come. The F-14B Super Tomcat, flown by the Grim Reapers of VF-101, led by Commander Chris Wheatrick, based at Naval Air Station OC. But on behalf of your United States Navy, the pilot, Lieutenant Devin Boots Jones of San Diego, California, and Lieutenant Tom Smudheim of Butler, Pennsylvania, the radar intercept officer, and all of the crew members of the Grim Reapers of VF-101, led by Commander Chris Wheatrick. We hope you enjoyed the performance by your United States Navy's F-14B Super Tomcat. Let's hear it for your United States Navy and the Grim Reapers of VF-101.
Thank you, Larry, and that concludes the formal part of our air show today. There's still lots to look at here in the grounds, and you see people standing along the road, or your neighbors or your friends, tell them about all these military aircraft and all these good aviation things inside here to look at. And again, if you're interested in an airplane ride, we're going to be giving rides over there for another hour in the aircraft area, and the Stealth will be flying by here tomorrow, so tell everybody to come back. If you want to come back, welcome you to see the show again and see the Stealth fly.
Well, what do you think, Dick Schilling, and what do you think, crowd? Did we have an air show today or what? Huh? Yeah, that's what we like to hear. Well, I hope a lot of you are going to be coming back tomorrow because, as Dick Schilling just said, during the air show tomorrow, we will have a flyby by none other than the F-117A Stealth fighter. The fighter that a little while ago over in Iraq said, "Good morning, Saddam. Look what we have for you." Tomorrow's air show, the F-14 Stealth fighter will make its flyby. Taxiing by the F-14B Super Tomcat, the Grim Reapers of VF-101. You'll get a chance to see the airplane. You've got a chance to see all these aircraft that are here on static display. And I'll tell you, we've got lots of food available from our concessionaires. So avoid the crowds on the highway. Stick around. Get to meet the crew. Get to meet Lieutenant Jones and Lieutenant Heim, the crew members of the F-14. And get to meet all the other performers at our air show today. They can sign autographs in your souvenir program. Now watch carefully. Here's the F-14 right, and he's going to bow to the crowd in the F-14. Wave back to him. Give him a big bow yourself. Thank you, F-14.
Yeah. Hydraulic.
An outstanding performance. Thank you so much. The Grim Reapers of VF-101. And you're saying right now, why in the world were they able to do that? Well, the aircraft is catapulted off the deck of the carrier. And that helps them on their carrier launches to set the aircraft in exactly the proper configuration before that catapult, that powerful catapult, kicks them off the end of the aircraft carrier with full afterburners lit, and away they go. Want a closer look at that? Once again, get your copy of Top Gun out and take a look as they take off and they attach to the catapult. You'll see the nose come down, which today we use to bow to the crowd at the conclusion of our air show, our Erie International Air Show for 1993. We hope you all had a good time. If you are going to hit the highways right now, remember a couple of things. Number one, buckle up, and that goes for the kids too in the back seat. Make sure you buckle everybody up. Please drive carefully. Talk to the folks at the Mid-Atlantic Air Museum. Talk to all our concessionaires. Talk to the folks over there at the Radio Controlled Club, the Eagles Thermal Team Radio Controlled Club. We have lots of food available. You can have dinner with us right here at the Erie International Airport. So please help us out. Help us keep the airport clean. Remember, no smoking near any of the aircraft. And come on back and see us tomorrow. Thank you.